But you guys probably got plenty to discuss with the game itself, how it played out, quarterbacks, running game looking good, defense, some good, some bad, some neutral. We'll see what happens. Of course, competition ramps up in a couple weeks, but I think expect a lot of the same versus USF this week. I think the biggest question too, I think I see a lot of people throwing it out there too, is just what the staff was putting out there. Of course, I think you run what you're comfortable with and go with that. And of course, I mean, you're not running a full playbook. I mean, you're not really running a full playbook versus too much anybody week in and week out. You got your game plan, you stick with your game plan that you work on all week. But the game plan this week probably wasn't that expansive when you go and look at it. At least for offense, I think started off well. I think when you go and if you a popular topic is when things don't look good is to say, well, we're saving some things, we're not running the full playbook, all that good stuff. Well, I mean, that's probably true to a point, but there are some things even on a base level that should be done and should look like it's been worked on, been done before. You know what you're doing out there, and I think that's where a lot of the probably frustration from the Emery side comes in. Is just the off target throws, the staring down, not going through progressions, looking at one read, just that stuff. That the basics, no matter what plays you're running, probably weren't there. So, and then you had the excitement of Anthony Richardson coming in and hitting some plays. So you had some polar opposites there as far as what got the fans excited. And we'll talk to Dan Mullen today. We'll talk to the media today. Fully expect the thought, the same thought process of Emery's a starter, and that's how we'll go into the game versus USF. So take that how you will. Pretty much I think expected at least for this game as well to kind of see if Emory can bounce back. Look, I don't think that's Emory Jones. Now I'm not saying Emory Jones will go out there and be a Heisman contender. I never really thought that in the first place anyway. But I also don't think he's that bad. I do think we need to get that out there too. I do think it was a bad night. Now, like I said, the worry is the things, and I said this on yesterday's podcast. If you haven't checked it out yet, check it out after this. But the things he struggled in were the things that we had heard spring and fall were the same things that he struggled in as well. The touch on the ball, the accuracy. Um, so I think when you go back and pair it with that, that's where a lot of the worry comes from. But I don't think he's that bad, guys. I do think it was an off night. He did, and the first couple of drives were okay. We're pretty good. If he had played like that the whole game, we wouldn't be having this conversation. For one thing, gets taken out, AR comes in, and Erie pretty much doesn't look the same the rest of the game. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that's the full reasoning of him not looking good either, just because he got taken out and it messed with his rhythm and all that kind of stuff. I think that's also an easy excuse, an easy way out to look at this. Could it have some effect? Absolutely, but I don't think you go and just throw a dart at that part of it. So I don't think he's what he showed Saturday night, but starting this week, starting versus USF, if you're going to be the guy, you're going to be the guy starting. We have to see some improvement. We cannot go into the Bama game saying and looking like that and still having the question if he's going to be starting again versus Alabama, because two bad games in a row versus opponents that shouldn't necessarily be looking like that against. That would be the worry there for me. So I don't. I do expect improvement. Now, here's the thing: if somebody asked me this yesterday as well, and we can get you guys in here too if you want to come here and talk. Somebody asked me, "Do I expect improvement from Emory versus USF?" I said, "Absolutely, absolutely, I do. I do think he's better than what he showed Saturday, but at the same time, I also expect improvement from Anthony Richardson. I think both quarterbacks will end up looking better after getting the first game under their belt, going out there and playing a good bit, and then taking that experience and going to game two. But I think both quarterbacks will end up looking better than what we saw on Saturday night. So, is it a true competition behind the scenes? I think it has to be. I know a lot of people have the question of how long the leash is right now. That I don't. I wish I had a good answer. Wish I could tell you. I really don't know. Um, as far as that goes, I don't think you can look as bad as you did second quarter on for Emory and expect to go out there and play a whole lot. So, and what happens in practice this week? Does he look like that in practice this week too? So I think if you see the improvement in practice, if you see the improvement in the game, you'll move forward the rest of the season. Emory the quarterback, but I think I know if it was me, and of course it's not. I'm taking a heavy assessment of practice this week and where both guys are heading into the USF game. And if it looks like it did Saturday night, maybe I do make the switch. But if you ask me right now, I completely expect Emory to be getting the first team reps Saturday versus USF, and maybe we just see more of Anthony Richardson when it's said and done. Maybe it's a true 50-50, all that, and eventually down the road, you make your decision. But this USF game may be a true 50-50 assessment game for both guys before Bama rolls into Gainesville next week. So, all right, guys, let's get this started with you. These Twitter Spaces are more about you than they are me. You guys get to hear me on the podcast all the time, all my thoughts. So, I don't for the I don't want to repeat myself a whole lot if I don't have to. If you haven't listened to the podcast yet, do so. But this thing here is to get you guys more in here, kind of like a call-in show, of course. If you haven't done so yet, that's what we'll be doing here. But what did you like? What did you not like? What are your thoughts on the QB situation? Are we going overboard a little bit? Do we need to wait and see some more? I don't think there's a right or wrong answer there as far as that goes. I think both sides have a legit argument. I am more on the conservative approach side, so I do lean. I'm not saying it was a bad night and we won't see it again. I'm just saying if it was, what if it was? Give Emory one more versus USF. See how he reacts in practice this week. See how he reacts in the game next week, and then kind of just go from there. I'm not. I'm about as non-controversial as it can be there when it comes to that. But the best guy should play. But I do think we don't make that determination after one game. And I'm not saying AR is not better or AR is not ultimately better. That's not what I'm saying at all. And I'm not saying Emory is or is not better. But I think one game shouldn't change. If Dan Mullen felt comfortable with Emory Jones being the quarterback game one, there's not enough right now to say he probably doesn't feel that way going into game two as well. So that's basically kind of where I stand with the quarterback situation right now. All right. All right. Harrison, you're in here, man. You're muted right now if you're trying to get in here.
You hear me
There
now?
we go. Yep, gotcha.
Perfect. I was watching, and I don't understand. Why were the corners playing so soft on the coverage? It was like their quarterback could play 5-yard passes all day.
Yeah, I talked about that on the podcast a little bit too, Dan. And I think what got on my nerves mostly about that, first of all, we saw it a lot last year. So why are we still seeing it after it bit this defense pretty hard last year? But also, Mullen mentioned after the game, yeah, we knew their quarterback was going to get the ball out quick. Well, if you knew the quarterback was going to get the ball out quick, why don't you tighten the coverage?
Yeah.
And knowing that you'll have defenders right there to make the play as soon as the ball's catched, or make a play on the ball and get a turnover, or something like that. So that didn't. First of all, I didn't like it anyway, but then hearing, well, we knew the quarterback was going to get the ball out quick, but you still played off the receivers, didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. There's this thing about Grantham's defense where he likes to create pressure with his defensive front and then play safe behind that just to not to give up the big play. And I can understand that if you're playing a team that has proven that they can hit the big play and they have the big play ability. But I'm one of those where at least let that offense prove that first. I say start aggressive and then peel back if you have to. Now, don't get me wrong. It was FAU. They were shutting them out. They were. I think we're at the point right now where we're going to have to live with teams getting yards and teams putting together strings of plays, putting together drives, converting third downs, getting across the 50-yard line, and then seeing what the defense does. I think that's, well, for whatever reason, that's what Grantham and his style just is conducive to right now. They're going to give up yards, they're going to give up third downs, and then they're going to try and be a bend don't break defense. I don't like that. It's so I think another thing that gets on my nerves about this whole playing off the receivers thing, I don't remember that being so much of a deal in 2018 and 2019. And maybe that defense was just better, and I missed that part. I don't remember us talking about, hey, why are the DBs playing so far off the receivers? We got that heavy last year, and that's when that conversation started pretty big. I don't remember that in the defense's past in 2018 and 2019. So I don't know if there's a trust issue. I don't know if he's just so scared of the big play he doesn't want to give it up, but at least schematically, we didn't see a whole lot difference from the defense on Saturday night. Now, I think they got better pressure. They were able to rush the quarterback. And if you get that consistently, that style of defense may work. But if you're not getting pressured, then I think we've seen too many times with Todd Grantham that for whatever reason, these DBs are just playing off. And it's not that I don't think they can't play man coverage and stick to the receivers. But to me, you're making it too easy on the quarterbacks. Even if there is pressure, if the DBs are nowhere near the receivers, all right, well, I can get the ball off and we'll see if they can make something happen after the catch. And it's in a way been working for a lot of teams, at least getting yards there. So the improvement I did see, there was no mass communication gaps. There was no guys being left in quarantine, wide open down the field, giving up easy scores. I will say the easy score part of the defense, and it was FAU, so we can take that into consideration, of course. But at least you didn't have a receiver get behind the secondary just because they didn't communicate where guys were and leaving guys open. So there was one improvement there as far as kind of taking it back to last year. But hopefully, as the season goes on, I don't know. Maybe they got to see more. Bring these DBs up a little bit. It is frustrating when it's 3rd and 4 and a second or two before the snap, Kyrie Elam's already backpedaling and retreating from the DB. So if the pass is to the receiver, he might can make a play on it. But they're on a particular play I'm talking about. You have a running back coming out of the backfield, and he catches the ball well enough time with nobody around him where he can make a play. He can make a run after the catch and get the first down because nobody's around him because everybody's backpedaling. If Kyrie Elam was on his receiver, the receiver was closer to the running back, he probably makes a play and stops it for gets a stop on 3rd down. But for whatever reason, that's still a part of this defense that we're seeing. And it's just going to be reliant on getting pressure and maybe reliant too much on getting pressure when you look at it that way. All right. Bringing Perry in here. Guys, remember you are being recorded on this. I'll post it up later. So, if you hop in, you'll be recorded here to throw this out there. So, Perry, you can unmute yourself there and get it. There we go.
I was trying to do it, Dave. My fingers are just too big, buddy. How are you?
Good, man. Good.
Well, thanks for having the show this morning because I was kind of starved. Bill didn't have a show this morning.
That's crazy. Bill usually has a show on Labor Day.
Yeah, he's not having it today, but
okay.
I was kind of starved. I'm working myself, and I just wanted to listen to something. Did I miss it, or did DeJuan Black start, or did I just not see it, or not used to his number, or what was the deal with him?
I'm not sure DeJuan Black even played. I need to go
That's
back
what I thought.
And really look in particular at the replay. I skimmed through the game one more time just to look at some particulars. I know he did not record a stat at all. He was not on a stat sheet.
Well, I didn't think I missed it that bad, but I was wondering about that. But I think, Dave, we just got to get used to 3rd and Grantham. I know we have the DBs to do it. I don't think they trust them yet. I think they're very young back there, and beside Elam, that's about all you got. I did see the safety stick his nose up in there and make some plays, and that was encouraging. Jamarcus Weston, I think he's going to come on and play very well. I was glad to see him on the field. I just think it is what it is when it comes to Grantham. I don't think we're never going to be happy with him. I think that's kind of where they were at Georgia. I was I know this is a Gator deal, but what did you think about FSU, and what did you think about Georgia? I think you can see Muschamp's effect on the Georgia defense, but their offense does nothing to scare me because I don't think Clemson's that good on offense.
Yeah, that could be the true side of a Muschamp team. The offense not getting it done, and the defense out there. I'm going to tell you that that Georgia defense was something serious. That especially up front, that defensive line, they abused Clemson. I think Clemson's offensive line still is an above average offensive line, but that Georgia defensive front completely controlled the game, and then their questions were in secondary as well. And from what I could tell, now that game was on at the same time as Florida, so I didn't get to dive in. I did watch, I think, pretty much the fourth quarter of that game yesterday. I saw it on the replay a little bit. And their secondary guys were sticking with the Clemson receivers for the most part as well. But it started up front for Georgia and that defense and what they were able to do controlling Clemson all game. So, yeah, you look at it that way as far as Georgia getting the big win, no offensive touchdown, having to rely on a pick six there. So I think there's a whole lot of Clemson and Georgia we still don't know about that team, that game there. Don't know how much of an indication it was for those two teams. When looking at that, I think you have two probably really, really good defenses when you come about that way. And Georgia, I was talking to some of my Georgia friends, and they were saying in post game that JT Daniels was saying Clemson was dropping eight a lot. They were dropping eight defenders a lot, and making it hard for him to pass the ball down the field. So he probably got a little frustrated in that regard. But look, I mean, we saw the same thing versus Kyle Trask last year, and you're still completing 20, 25, 30-yard balls down the field. So he'll have to get better in that regard. I think Georgia's schedule eases up now. Of course, you look at the Florida game right now. That's pretty much about it. But so nobody else will be able to play him as tough.
Yeah, I don't think Georgia started the receivers. I heard before the game they had one receiver that caught like 10 passes. They've just got a lot of injury there, and I think that's a problem. Yeah. I don't think nobody wants to talk about that, but
I think they'll get some of those guys back if I'm not mistaken. But yeah,
I think one or two of them, but they're still going to be shy. Gilbert really hurt them not being able to come on and play.
Right. Yeah.
And that was a big. Kirby was counting on that. But, I'm excited about Florida. I mean, we got a talent level higher than we've had. And, I heard Dooley say the other day since 2009. I kind of agree with him. And I think it's just going to take time to get a little experience. I'm a little concerned with Emory not being able to already read that a little bit better and be able to be a little bit quicker on those throws with time and being there so long. But you know what, boy, when he had a burst of speed and he took it, son, he's got some speed of his own.
Yeah. And like I said, I think it can – I think whatever you say right now is probably right on both sides of the argument. I don't necessarily think it's an overreaction too much if you're worried, but also I think that's a very valid part of what's going on right now is I do think if you say it's an overreaction, okay. If you don't say it's an overreaction, okay. I do think that I don't think the Emory we saw Saturday night is Emory Jones. I think he's better than that. Now, what is the ceiling? Maybe the expectation for how high the ceiling is can be changed a little bit, but that is not Emory Jones we saw Saturday night. I still think even if he's whatever, if you want to put a number on it, and he played at a level 5 or 4 for you, do you think he can get to a level 10? Do you think he can get to an 8 or a 9? That's probably more of a question that only if whoever's thinking about it can answer. I can't tell you that answer for you or anything like that. But
I can answer this for you. We got the best quarterback coach in the country, and I think he'll do just fine. And I just want to tell you something, Dave. I appreciate you keeping it real with us Florida fans, not spreading the propaganda of building it up like it's something that's not, just being honest. I watched the LSU team that had been propagandized so much by a certain personality on Bill's show that it was just shocking to see what UCLA did to them. And, I just think you're really real with us and keep it, like it's supposed to be and not spread propaganda, tell us the truth. I'll tell you do a good job, and I appreciate it as a Gator fan.
Thanks, Barry, man. That's what I try to do. I'm not out there to make headlines. That's just not what I do. If I say it, I believe it. That's just where it's coming to. So I'm not saying I can't say anything crazy because but just know that I actually believe it. And I'm not. Yeah. So That's just the way I'll put stuff out there, and we'll talk about the team that way. So I'm not going to sit here and bash people. If you play bad, you play bad. I'll criticize. If you play good, you play good. I'll praise.
Right.
And that's it. That's just where it goes. And that's not to say things can't change. Things can absolutely change. Not everything's an ultimate comment, and things are
Well,
fluid.
coaching
Things can change.
matters. That's what everybody forgets. Coaching matters. And you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have good coaching, and I feel like we got a really good staff. I'm not a Grantham lover. I don't like the bend, don't break. I think we have the athletes to play. When somebody tells you, oh, we only got a young guy and he's only a 4 or 5 star, let me tell you what, that guy was ranked a 4 or 5 star for some reason.
Yeah.
And when he comes in there, he should be able to play press coverage right now. He should be able to go at it. That's why you give him a scholarship at that high level. And I just think that, Grantham is it's third and Grantham. It's always going to be that way. And, some years it's been awesome. Last year is probably the worst year he probably had I know at Florida, but as a coach, and that kind of deal. And I mean, really, if you want to get honest with Grantham, you can't blame it all on him. If you follow the recruiting like I do, if you get down and look at the recruiting, we had a gap recruiting when it came to DBs. We missed on two or three guys we should have had, and that's what you saw last year.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I think the front seven recruiting's been really good since Grantham's been here, especially linebacker, butt position, all that. So you hope you see that out. But you kind of go into your point, and I was going to make this point anyway. Look at all the experienced guys who made plays, basically, and maybe even carried this team a bit Saturday. Malik Davis, who's been around the program since 2017, probably the best player on offense all night long. Ventrell Miller, Jeremiah Moon, Zachary Carter. You had a lot of veterans guys that were making the big plays in the game and the most consistent plays in the game. Ventrell Miller leading the team in tackles. Trey Dean with 6 tackles as well. Jeremiah Moon making plays, rushing the quarterback for most of the game. So Rick Wells getting his first touchdown and catching and leading the receivers with 5 catches.
Is that a great story, Rick Wells? I mean, that's awesome. Just perseverance, man.
Absolutely. Waiting his time, getting his time there. To me, it doesn't matter if it was versus FAU. We would like to see Jacob Copeland play more and get more targets. Absolutely. But I'm not worried about Jacob Copeland after after FAU. I kind of know what Jacob Copeland can do. If he's out there and the quarterback's throwing the ball accurately to him, he's going to catch the ball. I expect that improvement from him in that part of his game. But Rick Wells getting his opportunity and making the most of his opportunity now. I mean, he had the bowl game versus Oklahoma last year. He had his chance and showed up. This game versus FAU, gets his chance, plays more, and leads the team with 5 catches, gets his first career touchdown. So, credit to him for sticking around. He could have easily transferred and went somewhere else too, and he's sit behind some really good receivers for the last few years. So you wouldn't have faulted him to go. But now maybe 5 targets, 5 catches, 1 touchdown. One's a screenplay where he's got to make some play with his legs to get that touchdown. So good for him. Definitely happy to see it.
We need to also. I mean, Mullen's been great at keeping these guys in the system. He's been bringing guys in instead of guys leaving. And, as much as I don't like Hevesy and as much as I'm not crazy about Delaney, we got to give them a great, they need a lot of kudos for their, they're averaging 400 yards now starting the season out right. The offensive line, as much as we all like to criticize on Gator Twitter, it's time to give them some of their dues. I mean, no matter, you're playing Division I know it's not Alabama. No, it's not Georgia. But this is where you get improvements to build the blocks to get better.
Put it this way, Perry, and I agree with you there. Put it this way, it's got to start somewhere.
Amen. So it was already at the bottom, so
if they had went out there and couldn't run, don't get me wrong, could it have been? I mean, could some more of those short line, goal line plays from the run game been a little better? Absolutely, of course, it wasn't a perfect game. But $400, like you said, busted some big plays out there for these quarterbacks, mainly or running backs, mainly Malik Davis. If this offensive line had went out there and given up 3 sacks, and if they had went out there and only averaged, 4 yards a carry, we would have heard about it. They would have been criticized. And too many times I think, and this is a saying I stand by a lot. Too many people don't get enough credit for the things they are supposed to do. And this offensive line was supposed to, be better. And this offensive line was supposed to go out there and play a good game versus FAU, and they did that. Now, does that mean they're going to go out there and dominate Alabama and Kentucky and Missouri? No, but you got to start somewhere. And if we would have saw bad play Saturday night, we'd have absolutely heard about it. They actually played a good game. They played a good game in run blocking and pass blocking. So let's give them some kudos along the way. As I said, things are fluid. things change. Just because you play good this week and we give you praise, don't mean if you play bad next week, we're not going to criticize. We realize things change, but as I kind of said about how my approach, I praise when praise is needed to be made, and critique when that's needed as well. Offensive line, I agree. Up front, getting 400 yards, not giving up a sack. I thought it was a good start for the offensive line.
Yeah, and Hevesy is still, maybe he's not used to being at Florida yet versus Mississippi State.
Yeah.
And his recruiting kind of shows that. But
Yeah.
if there is a place that you can recruit a 3-star and coach him up and give him to you, it is the offensive line. And I just we had a couple big players get out of Florida that we would have loved to have. One being Frankie Neal's boy, O'Neal at Alabama. I would have loved for him to come. He's from Okeechobee. I mean, you got out of here and went to Alabama. I understand the reason and everything, but we got to be able to get some of these guys to come here and be at Florida. You got to pull some of that every once in a while, like a Reggie Green. I mean, you just have to. Yep. And this is Florida, and it can be done. So we got to work on that. And I know he's headed in the right direction. It looks a little better, but it's still not where it needs to be.
Yeah, and I said this dating back to last season when 2020 ended, and we're looking toward 2021 and the differences in the team. It was going to be what could this offensive line do to make themselves better. I think just going back more to that run approach was going to help John Hevesy, help this offensive line look better than what they had the last couple of years. It's going to be easier for this group to move forward 40 times a game and run block 40 times a game than it is to backpedal and pass block 40 times a game. I think that suits Stuart Reese. I think that suits Gene DeLance a bit more. And I think that's what we saw versus FAU in the first game of the season. That's what John Hevesy knows how to coach for. It's what John Hevesy knows how to develop for. Now, we do need a raise in talent level at that position. And I do go back to, and that's just my assessment for 2021. Now, I think we'll have to look down the road a little bit more. And Florida is recruiting these drop back or more dual threat, but passing guys that are going to stay in the pocket just a little bit more. And, so when that comes back around in a few years, whether it be Carlos Del Rio or Kitno or Evers there, if John Hevesy is still here, can he make the offensive line better than what we saw in 2019 and 2020? But for right now in 2021, this offensive style suits what he's coaching for, developed for, and what he has the players for.
Yeah. And let's cut Emory a little break, man. That's the first time he's actually in control. It's a big start in the swamp. First time we've had a game in a couple of years there. I mean, there's a lot of motion going on. You're going to get a little overhyped and pumped on a couple throws, but his arm is strong enough, and he gets comfortable, and he'll get comfortable by the time the Alabama game comes around. And, but the good thing is we got two good quarterbacks.
There you go.
I mean, how many times we sit up here and we just wanted a quarterback the last 15 years? I mean, we just forget, about how much Mullen has brought to this team. Do we all want to win a national championship? Heck yeah. Do we want to get there again? Yes. Are we able to under Mullen? Heck yeah. Best chance we'll ever have. And so I think we all need to be excited and happy, and let the coaches be coaches. Mullen knows what he's doing. He's proved it.
Yeah, like I said, I think that is not Emory we saw Saturday night. I do expect him to be better, but I expect AR to be better too. And if eventually, I think we will get to a point to where if AR is the guy, then it's going to be because he ended up beating out a good Emory Jones. Mm-hmm. I think that's just the way I'll put it. So,
what was the boy's name? Avery Hill? Was that the guy that started the freshman at?
Avery Helm.
Yeah, yep. He was highly recruited. I think people forget that. Highly recruited.
Yeah, he put some weight on to get that second cornerback spot. We'll see him need to improve as well. He did have some guys get behind him a little bit. But first start for him as well. So, it's hard to make an ultimate determination on anybody after one game. So, we'll see where that goes. I like the little bit I saw from Jason Marshall. He had that pass interference call as well, but right there on the receiver. So we'll see what happens in that second quarterback spot.
Well, thanks for letting me talk. I didn't mean to go that long, but nobody seems to be jumping in.
Oh, good. I got a couple more right here.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Bye.
Barry. All right. What's up, Coach Tom? Nope, you're on mute.
Hey, there we go.
There you go. Yep.
Hey, Dave, how's it going this morning, man?
Good. How about you?
Hey, long weekend of watching football, so
Tell me
getting
about
ready. Hey, and I still got one more tonight to go. So,
it.
hey, but you know what? Like everybody said, fantastic to see that swamp absolutely the way I remember it. Just
Oh
absolutely
man.
electric, man.
Yeah, I was, we didn't know what it was going to look like. I know people who had tickets for sale that were still unsold going in, later into the week. But getting down there on Saturday morning, really, really early, but seeing how many people showed up at our tailgate and then walking around, meeting people at other tailgates and stuff, and I was like, okay, never mind. This is, it's this is the Gainesville I remember from a couple of years ago. I was worried if, not to get political or anything like that, but there is the,
I know
the
what you're
COVID out,
saying. Yeah,
COVID outbreak, and you just didn't know how many people were going to show up
right.
there. But once we walked inside of that stadium, you saw the student side start filling up. I was like, there we go. This is what we've been waiting for. I think a lot of people were waiting for it as well, and that swamp was rocking for an FAU game and
Hmm.
first game of the season for an opponent that. That not a lot of fans were going to get excited for. I think a lot of fans were just excited to see the game of football being played in person.
Right. Hey, Gabe. So I'm getting ready to queue up that game here probably in the next hour. So, just your thoughts as far as I know the criticism. I kind of like you with some of the messages I got about Emory. I'm gonna flip it over to the wide receivers. So, just what was your initial thoughts as far as the wide receivers, especially on the outside? Were they winning? Their one-on-one matchups, or because when you got a in this case, I'm gonna treat Emory like a true freshman because this
Okay.
was his first real start. Your wide receivers have to help your young quarterback out
Yep.
by winning those routes, by running precise routes. If it's a 10-yard route, it's got to be run at 10, and showing that quarterback those numbers, and then when the quarterback does throw it on target, you got to make the catch. So, just what were your thoughts as far as how the wide receivers looked on the outside in their individual matchups?
Yeah, you know what? That is one aspect that I was actually going to go look at more today.
Hmm.
I wish there was a way we could get all the all 22.
The 22 copy,
because
yeah.
because there are some questions on how much separation the wide receivers were possibly getting. Because when you look at the game today, and I know you'll go back and watch it, you'll see Emory really concentrate on the middle of the field. There were not a
Hmm.
lot of outside routes or a lot of outside throws. There were not a lot of deep throws, whether it be down the middle or on the sidelines or on the edges. It was a lot of concentrated intermediate throws in the middle, and a
Hmm.
lot of them were inaccurate. They were behind or low. Right there, and even some of the screens, some of the easier passes were, low. The receivers, couldn't really make a clean catch and get
Right.
upfield as fast as they needed to. That's one more thing I'm going to go back and try and look at today myself is, the receivers see just from the TV broadcast if we can actually see the separation and see if there what was it there or not. Because in this, in this, and I'll give FAU some credit. Now it was Conference USA schedule last year, but they had a really a pretty good for them pass
Hmm.
defense last year. So yeah, I think weigh that however much you want to weigh it, but either way you still expect Florida receivers to be able to create separation, get open for their quarterback. So that's one more thing I want to look at today as well. I know some of those throws over in the middle, you'll notice to Trent Whittemore, him going over the middle. I would say there was not a ton of separation, but enough there to make a clean catch, be able to make the catch, but the throw was just a little behind or just a little low and
Okay.
all that. So and something else to look for as far as Emory goes. You look at the first two drives. Florida drove down, got up 14-0. He gets
Okay.
taken out for Anthony Richardson, and then comes back in and starts struggling after that. Now I don't want to sit here and make the easy say, well, he just got out of his rhythm. I don't necessarily believe that, but
Hmm.
that could be part of the issue there. And he'll hit that first interception he throws. Anthony Richardson's driving the team down the field. His
Hmm.
helmet comes off, and Emory comes in the game and then throws the pick. So kind of a
Weird
weird
deal.
sequence of plays, but that's kind of where it started when you wanted to look at maybe the game changing a little bit for Emory. I think he got a little frustrated at times, like I said. And this maybe even easy for me to say. Maybe looking through some orange and blue glasses here, that I don't think that's the. Like I said, I think Emory's better than what we saw Saturday night. Hopefully that's not orange and blue glasses talking, but we'll see. We'll see where it goes. But those are just a couple things to look for as far as the game goes on. After the first couple of drives, and then after that third drive when Anthony Richardson comes in, to kind of maybe see how it affected Emory Jones.
And one of the things that, and this is something that just being around quarterbacks who are I won't say completely looking over his shoulder, but I mean Emory's hearing the talk, and I honestly think that last INT, because I did get a chance to see that one live, he was absolutely pressing on that throw. I mean that's a throw where, and you could see Dan Mullen talking to him as he comes off. He's like, it's not there. You could almost read Dan's lips saying the throw wasn't there. So I think seeing AR have some success early, which as a teammate you want to see, but as a quarterback you're wanting to say, hey, look, this is my offense. I think that last INT he was absolutely pressing, trying to force a throw that in any other circumstances he wouldn't make. So you want to see him this week in practice, and especially in next week's game, just really settle down, like you said, play the way he did on the first two drives, under control, and let everything else kind of take care of itself.
Yeah, and maybe there's a mental aspect to this that he has to kind of get over. Maybe and this can be right or wrong as far as how you view Emory Jones, and if it's right that he should be in this situation. But maybe that first start was just too much. Maybe it was just a little too much mentally, and now he can settle down. He's got that under his belt, and this is where that's a takeoff point. That's something he can just look at and use it as a taking off point. But he'll definitely. If he thought the microscope was on him before, it's even more so now. So we'll see how he reacts to all the questioning and all the words that are out there right now.
Hey, as we all say, this is why you come to the University of Florida. I mean,
that's right. That's right.
If you don't want to have the pressure or the spotlight, go to Vanderbilt. I hate to put it out there like that, but I mean, go to Vanderbilt, because Florida fans have an expectation, and rightfully so. I mean, three national championships over the past 30 years. There's a level of expectations when you put on that uniform, and pressure's a good thing because it forces you to get better, and that's why you play big time college football. So, Dave, thanks for letting me jump in, my friend. And like I said, I'll break down kind of some of my notes, and I'll touch base with you.
Shoot them to me your way. Yeah,
you got it.
Thanks, man. All right, a couple more of you in here. What's up, Dave? Zach?
What's up, baby?
Not much. I'm still recovering from Saturday a little bit, man.
That's what I said. I needed a day of rest, and 400 miles later, I'm back at home.
Oh man, that drive back to Jacksonville Saturday night was not friendly. It was not good. But here's the thing, and maybe some of you can speak to this too. I have never seen so many deer in my life after driving from Gainesville to Jacksonville Saturday night. It was ridiculous. So that kept me on notice a little bit, because I was like, that's the last thing I need is to be hitting a deer, or 1 o'clock in the morning driving back to Gainesville or Jacksonville.
Yeah, you see a lot of that up here, man. You go depths of the boonies of Georgia here, you see a lot of the deer as well. I was just gonna say, man, not a question or anything, but how about the offensive line and the push that they got in the FAU game? Malik Davis, he was out since 2017. I just sit on an injury, and how about him, man? 140 yards, 1 touchdown. I'm really proud of Malik Davis, and I think the offensive line did a lot better. I love to see that there's improvement on the offensive line. I know it was FAU, but you didn't really get to see that last year in any games. I know it was an all SEC schedule, but now it seems now with the new offense and all that, the rushing game looks pretty well. And Anthony Richardson, 160 yards. Yeah, that looked pretty well. I was just going to mention that, man. It's a little bit underlooked was the offensive line. I think the offensive line was a lot better than it was last year.
Yeah, and I was talking with Perry with that too. It's just like, they had to start somewhere, and at least the baseline starts pretty good. And like you said, better than what we saw last year, of course. And I think the quarterbacks can help them out too. I thought we Emery a couple of times made some good reads on the zone reads and got some yards. Other times he probably should have kept the ball a little bit more. He could have got a little bit more yards, and the rushing total would have been even higher there instead of handing off to the running back at times. But yeah, I do like what we saw. A good starting point for the offensive line. At least we're talking good about him. And look, and I think one reason, look, when you talk about an offensive line, Dave, and you said it's probably not talked about good enough, that's a good thing. Because believe me, when it's not good, they are talked about a whole lot, and why the offense maybe is struggling. When you don't bring up the offensive line, it's most of the time a good thing because that means they're doing their job. They're hitting their blocks. They're not giving up sacks. And that's just the nature of the business about the offensive line. Your good goes a lot overlooked, and your bad gets magnified. But right now, I think that we should. And I even made sure I put a couple plays out yesterday, and also Kamori Gamble well as springing a block. But I made sure I put out yesterday on Damian Pierce's touchdown where FAU blitzes the linebacker. Pierce has to make the linebacker miss because there's just too many defenders to block. But then he has to run to the right to score that touchdown, and there's Gene DeLance and there's Stuart Reese holding their blocks, allowing Damian Pierce to get that touchdown. So there's one improvement right there from two guys that we were looking for on that offensive line, the right side of that offensive line, to make sure that they've raised their level of play. There was a touchdown that you can contribute to those guys later on in the game. Then that one where the Anthony Richardson 73-yard touchdown, I was like, all right, what made this play work besides Richardson keeping the ball in his zone read, making the right decision there? But there was a defender on the edge there with Kamori Gamble. It's one-on-one. Kamori Gamble makes his block, and that springs Anthony Richardson 73 yards for a touchdown. So, that's still some more things I want to go look at back in looking at the game and seeing the offensive line, the tight ends block as well, and how much they help there. But I thought it's definitely a good starting point for this offensive line. And I think, hopefully a confidence builder, take it into game 2 versus USF this week.
Yeah, and one more thing before I leave for all the people listening out there. There was only one SEC quarterback that didn't have a passing or rushing touchdown this week, and you guys can go ahead and answer that one.
Well, since Georgia didn't score an offensive touchdown, I'm going JT Daniels. I hope I'm right there.
You are correct, Mr. Dave.
Hey, Dave, how's it going?
Good, Zach. How are you, man?
Good. I got a question. How come Copeland didn't play much?
That I don't know. Let's see. He had 3 targets. One catch for 15 yards. I think he had the catch on the first third down conversion of the game, I think. But yeah, only targeted 3 times. I can see where, Florida played a lot of players Saturday night. I think that was probably the plan coming in. So I think that could be contributed just a little bit of maybe some of the inconsistency wherever you want to point to inconsistency in the game. I think that was probably part of it. It's just rolling so many guys in and out. And look, I will be honest. I know a lot of people want to say, well, was it vanilla? Was it conservative? I think you can say those words and be right, but Mullen likes to tinker in these type of games. He doesn't waste these games. He likes to go out there and throw a lot of young players to get film on them and see where they're at and see what they bring to the table. And to an effect, I think it may hurt the older guys just a little bit of not getting into a rhythm and being out there. But he wants to see how these young players play under the lights as well in games like this, where it's going to take a lot for Florida to lose a game like this. Now, don't get me wrong, we would like to see Florida more up by more than 14-0 at halftime, sure. But, that game, going back to the first point I made in the podcast yesterday, the chances were there. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to make excuses or anything like that, but the chances were there. The score, the halftime, at least the halftime score and the final score, too, to an extent, was not indicative of, at least early on, of how much Florida was dominating this game. Easily could have been 28-0, and you were still tinkering at that time too of bringing players in and out. So I just think a lot of players were getting in there. I don't think anything happened to Jacob Copeland. I don't think it was a sign. I don't think it was an indication that staff was upset with him or anything like that for any reason. I just think just getting more. Getting more young guys in there who haven't really had a chance to play and getting their feet under them. So we'll see if it continues or anything like that. But it's nothing that I'd be worried about right now.
I think it was nice seeing Lingard and Bowman though.
Yeah, and look, we saw him early. I think it was I got to go back and look. I think I remember looking at it. Was it the third drive of the game? They came in with AR and they were all 3 in the backfield at the same time.
Yeah, I think
maybe
so.
maybe I'm misremembering that, but I think that was a point I tried to make. Look, it's hard tweeting live at a game, and trying to see everything that's going on and keeping you guys updated on my thoughts during the game. So there's some things I miss when watching the game live, when I can't, not watching it on TV and stuff at the same time. But I think we saw those guys early in the game, and maybe earlier than some people thought we would. Malik Davis got the start at running back. He was the first running back on the field, but we did see Lingard early. We did see Bowman early. Bowman get some early carries as well. Look, his family it was fun. His family was at the tailgate with us. They were tailgating a couple spots down from us, and then ended up coming over and hanging out for a couple times there. And I was talking to his dad, and his dad said, "Yeah, my son." Marcus said he's going to break about a 60 or 70 yarder tonight. So, the confidence was there. We didn't get that, of course, but the confidence is there of DeMarcus Bowman, being able to how he'll fit in this offense, and the confidence in himself to hit a big play in this Gator offense. So, that was fun to talk to them there. And I'm glad we got to see Lingard and Bowman. I'm glad we got to see him early, too.
Yeah, I would have liked to see Lingard a little bit more, but.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, I think he had 2 carries, 6 yards there. But even still, like going back to last year, and I know we probably overanalyzed this, but when he was in versus Vanderbilt, you can see that speed. You can see a little bit different speed. I think we saw it there too. But hopefully he gets one of those runs where he just breaks off and he's able to show that speed.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, man?
Not sure. I don't think so.
All right. All good. All good. Thanks for hopping in. All right, guys, a few more minutes there before I sign off. So if anybody else wants to jump in, get 2 more thoughts out here. Desmond Watson, I'll give him a little shout out too. I didn't play a whole lot out there, but when he did, he got noticed. I mean, it's hard not to notice Desmond Watson, but he's also out there making a play when he's out there. So good for him getting his feet wet and making a play for these Gators as well. But as I said, I'm going to go back one more time. I'm going to give these veterans that look, I was even told, we talked about running backs a couple weeks ago on the podcast, and when we were doing the preseason talk, and some of these players get to talk, and Malik Davis getting mentioned. I was like, oh, we need to move on. I couldn't tell you how many times I was told we need to move on from Malik Davis. I wasn't willing to do so. I'm a big Malik Davis fan. I probably hang on too much to 2017. It was the one good thing in 2017 was probably Malik Davis. Maybe I hang on too much, but I was not ready to give up on Malik Davis. I was glad to see what he was able to bring to the table. I know it was versus FAU, but at least the running back went out there and showed the capability, and at least he showed that somewhat of the 2017 form there. So I'm really, really glad that Malik Davis went out there and showed out and did what he did. So, all right, let me bring Charlie in here. All right, Charlie, unmute your mic. There you
go. Good morning.
Hey,
I was just going to ask, so we should expect to see the similar type of game plan this week, I guess, going into USF. Splitting up the quarterbacks, just really seeing who's going to have the hot hand before we go to Alabama. I believe, that would probably be the similar expect, and also seeing a lot of those transfers get a lot of reps there on the D line was also good to see as well.
Yeah, that's one more aspect of the game I want to go deeper into. I thought initially, FAU and Bowling mentioned it too. Bobby Feast or Famine running the ball, it was either a game for 0 or a game for 10. It was just kind of inconsistent there as far as the run game goes. And Florida was bringing in a whole bunch of defensive tackles, rotating those guys in and out as well. So I want to look at more Newkirk and Shelton. Initially, I think, or Valentino, I'm sorry. Initially, I think Valentino had a pretty good game. Newkirk, I need to go back and look at what he did. I don't remember his name flashing too much there, but look, you're a defensive tackle, so it's more about can you eat double teams? Can you push an offensive lineman back and disrupt the play? Those are the things I'll be looking for. Not necessarily tackle numbers. You're not going to see those guys get a whole bunch of tackle numbers, but what did you do to help Brenton Collins? What did you do to help Zachary Carter? Zachary Carter mentioned that after the game. He's like, look, I got these sacks, I got these numbers, but it was because those guys in the middle helped me do my job. So that's the things I think when we go back there and apply our outlook on those defensive tackles, what did they do to help Chris Bogle make his sack? Jeremiah Moon get in the backfield, Zachary Carter get the backfield. Those were the things I'm going to look at from those guys as well. Going back to your quarterback question, the game plan for this week versus USF and how much do we see? I think we see both a lot. I really do. Is that much like we saw? You get two, and I pretty much even said going into last week. And it was just a guess on my part. I thought we would see Emory first couple of drives and then get AR in third or fourth drive of the game. That's exactly what we got, and I completely expect more of that too. And maybe and maybe this is more of a moving toward a 50-50 approach. I don't know, basically off what we saw last week. You can't keep Anthony Richardson off the field a whole lot just because of what he brings to the table. And this is me saying this if Emory Jones played good versus Florida Atlantic Saturday night. Anthony Richardson still brings a different element to this offense, still brings a different explosion to this offense. So, good or bad, Emory Jones, Anthony Richardson to me still has to play just because of the explosion, the big playability he brings to the table. So I do expect after we saw Anthony Richardson go out there and prove that he can hit some big plays with his legs and complete a pass down the field as well, that now defenses will have to worry about, that you go and still play Anthony Richardson a good bit just because he's an asset to the offense. No matter the quarterback battle, no matter the quarterback position, no matter what happens with Emory Jones, Anthony Richardson is still a legit threat at quarterback to go out there and make a big play happen.
Like Tim Tebow said, Anthony Richardson's going to be a freak.
Yeah. And he's definitely going to be, and maybe more of a freak as the season goes on. We'll see how it all plays out. One more time before I wrap it up, I expect Emory Jones to play better. That is not indicative of Emory Jones. I think we'll see. From when I'm not saying he's going to go out there and raise his level of play to be a Heisman contender the rest of the season or anything, but he's going to play better. He's going to improve from this game one. Hopefully, all the mental side of it, he can handle that. Because look, he's going to hear it all week. He's going to hear it from. I mean, I don't think he's listening to Gators Breakdown or anything, but he's gonna, if he did, he'd be hearing it from people like me, the radios, different podcasts out there, Twitter, social media. It's going to be out there. So can he shut it out? I think Emory Jones. We'll see a different Emory Jones on Saturday. I really expect it. Now I don't know how good, but and don't get me wrong, he can. A lot of people will say, well, he can only go up from what we saw on Saturday night, but I expect Emory Jones to play better Saturday. Anthony Richardson, I think, will get his feet wet, and I think he'll improve his self as well from week 1 to week 2. So. I know Mullen may not want to call it a quarterback battle, may not want to call it a quarterback controversy, but at least out there for much of Gator Nation, it is. We'll see where it goes from here. But all right, guys. Man, this was fun. First time we got to do this after a game. I really enjoy this Twitter Spaces. Thank you guys for hopping on, making the interaction all good, great. We'll get it, like I said, every Monday. We'll do this every Monday morning. During the season. So we'll have a game to talk about. We'll do it on Friday as well. So be on the lookout Friday morning for another Twitter Spaces, as we'll look ahead more to the USF game. Whatever notes we get out coming throughout this week, we'll discuss as well. But a lot of fun we'll have here. We'll get Gators Breakdown with these Twitter Spaces. I'll put it back out there for everybody who was not able to catch it live, catch the replay version out there. So if you haven't done so yet, go check out Gators Breakdown. Had the game review episode up where I talked much more about a lot of the stuff we talked about here. That's out there right now on YouTube, your podcast platform. If you join Gators Breakdown Plus, there was a call-in show much like this one for Gators Breakdown Plus members. So that's how I do post-game shows this year. So one benefit of Gators Breakdown Plus will be a live post-game after the game, kind of like this right here. So, all right, that'll do it. I am David Waters. You can follow me on Twitter at GatorDave_SDC. I'll holler at you guys later in the week.